Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Canto 2, Chapter 1, the first step in God realization, text 25. Andakoshe Sharireshmin Saptavarana Samyute Vairaja Purusho Yoshao Bhagavandaranashrayaha Andakoshe Sharireshmin Sapta Varna Samyute Vairaja Purusho Yoshao Bhagavandaranashrayaha Andakoshe Sharireshmin Saptavana Samyute Vairaja Purusho Yoshao Bhagavandaranashrayaha
Andakoshe Sharireshmi
Andakoshe Sharireshmin
Saptavarana Samyute
Saptavana Samyute
Vairaja Purusho Yosa
Vairaja Purusho Yoshao
Bhagavandaranashraya
Bhagavandaranashrayaha
Andakoshe
within the universal shell,
within the universal shell
Sharire,
Sharire
the body of,
the body of
Asmin, this, Sapta, sevenfold, Avarana, coverings, Samyute, having so done, Vairaja, the gigantic universal, Purusha, form of the Lord, Ya, that, Asal, he, Bhagavan, the personality of God, Dharana, conception, Ashraya, object of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The gigantic universal form of the personality of Godhead within the body of the universal shell, which is covered by sevenfold material elements, is the subject for the Virat conception. Purport. Simultaneously, the Lord has multifarious other forms, and all of them are identical with the original fountainhead form of the Lord, Sri Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, it has been proven that the original transcendental and eternal form of the Lord is Sri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead. But by his inconceivable internal potency, Atma Maya, he can expand himself by multifarious forms and incarnations simultaneously, without being diminished in his full potency. He is complete, and although innumerable complete forms emanate from him, he is still complete, without any loss. That is his spiritual or internal potency. In the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, manifested his Virat Rupa, just to convince the less intelligent class of men, who cannot conceive of the Lord as appearing just like a human being, that he factually has the potency of his claim to be the supreme absolute person without any rival or superior. Materialistic men can think, although very imperfectly, of the huge universal space, comprehending an innumerable number of planets as big as the sun. They can see only the circular sky overhead without any information that this universe, as well as many other hundreds of thousands of universes, are each covered by sevenfold material coverings of water, fire, air, sky, ego, noumenon. What is noumenon? Anyone know?
Check it out.
Yeah. Noumenon.
Phenomena.
What is it?
Phenomena are the physical things, mind, I guess mind.
A thing as is in itself, as distinct from a thing as it is knowable by the senses through phenomenal attributes.
I still don't understand.
It's mind in this.
Mind.
Because that's the thing that's missing.
Okay.
What if I say
Mind. Right. Noumenon and material nature, just like a huge football pumped and covered, floating on the water of the causal ocean, wherein the Lord is lying as Mahavishnu. All the universes in seed are emanating from the breathing of the Mahavishnu, who is but part of a partial expansion of the Lord. And all the universes presided over by the Brahmas vanish when the Mahavishnu withdraws his great breath. In this way, the material worlds are being created and vanished by the supreme will of the Lord. The poor, foolish materialist can just imagine how ignorantly he puts forward an insignificant creature to become his rival incarnation, simply on the allegations of a dying man. The Virat, so Prabhupada apparently is referring to someone very specific, some dying man. Said, yeah, that's the avatar of the Lord, and I guess it caught on. Some people believed it. I don't know who's speaking about specifically. Because Prabhupada typically didn't point out who the rascals were by name. Yes? He just would make references typically. The Virat Rupa was particularly exhibited by the Lord just to give lessons to such foolish men, so that one can accept a person as the incarnation of Godhead only if such a person is able to exhibit such a Virat Rupa as Lord Krishna did. The materialistic person may concentrate his mind upon the Virat or gigantic form of the Lord in his own interest, and as recommended by Shukadev Goswami, but he must be on his guard not to be misled by pretenders who claim to be the identical person as Lord Krishna, but are not able to act like him or exhibit the Virat Rupa, comprehending the whole of the universe. Om Jnana Tirandasya Jnanam Janashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Param Ananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Translation: the gigantic universal form of the personality of Godhead within the body of the universal shell, which is covered by sevenfold material elements, is the subject for the Virat conception. So the scientists are doing all of their research for, what did you say yesterday, 500 years? Most science is supposed to date back 400 or 500 years, and they're trying to figure out what's going on in the universe, trying to understand it. And they're understanding some things about the universe. With their massive telescopes or with their microscopes, they're understanding something about the cosmos and something about the microcosmic level of the universe. But here we're just taking information from Shastra to understand that which has been accepted by all great acharyas. It's faith. Yes, this is faith. We have faith in this. I can't confirm anything that's being said here. I can't confirm that Krishna is expanding himself into different forms, and one of those forms is Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu is laying down in the causal ocean, and he's sleeping, resting, yoga nidra, and from the pores of his skin, universes are emanating. I can't confirm that. None of us can confirm that. And he expands himself within each universe. And again, he's laying down, and he's not a German engineer who's just thinking with the left side of his brain, okay, I need to execute some function. What is the most practical way we can accomplish this? That's within my capabilities, within my budget. What's within my budget? What's within my capabilities? What is within the laws of nature? Like you can draw anything on paper, right? You can draw floating buildings on paper, but the laws of gravity won't cooperate with you. The laws that you have to consider all of these things, all of those different considerations, right? And then he's got the limitations of his own creative intelligence. But Krishna's got none of that stuff. No limitations at all. He can do it as he pleases. So therefore he does it in a highly artistic way, because Krishna is highly artistic. Yes, he's sometimes described as he dresses like a dramatic performer, yes? His activities are very dramatic. So when he accomplishes even these tasks of building the prison house, yes, making the prison house of the cosmos, he does it in an extremely artistic way, laying down, and then the universe is coming out from the pores of his skin as he's resting, and expanding himself, laying down again, and a lotus flowers growing from his navel, kind of very cool, you know? And then from that top of that lotus flower suddenly appears a four-headed creature, in some cases four-headed. He could have made it one-headed creature, but four-headed is very interesting. Four-headed, eight-headed, 10-headed, 100-headed, 1,000-headed, million-headed, right? And how does that look good? How do you make that look good? Right? You think, how does someone look good with 100 heads? It seems lopsided or weird. No, Brahma is super attractive, wonderfully attractive, even though he has as many heads as he has. So this is all the artistic capability of Krishna. And we're accepting it on faith, but we're comfortable accepting it on faith because we see which other personalities have accepted this. Yes? We see, oh, Prabhupada accepts this. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta accepts this. Ramanujacharya accepts this. Madhvacharya accepts this. Our Guru Maharaj accepts this. So I'm comfortable accepting what they accept. Yeah, certain things we can't confirm. Other things we can directly confirm or experience. Gradually we can confirm so many aspects of the things we read about. We're reading so many wonderful descriptions, and initially it starts as, okay, this kind of makes sense to me. And then we engage in the practice of Krishna consciousness, and slowly we can get glimpses, appreciations of reality. Because right now our vision is in varying degrees. The conditioned soul's vision is covered by ignorance, just like here is being described, that the universes, innumerable universes are manifesting, and those universes are hollow on the inside, and then the covers of the universes are the main portion of the universe. Yes? You might say it's like a tennis ball, right? But it's not like a tennis ball, because tennis ball means there's a big inside and then a thin coating, right? The outside of the tennis ball is very small. But this is the opposite. The inside of the universe, for example, this universe is 4 billion miles in diameter, right? And then the first covering of the universe, which is Earth, and when we talk about Earth, we shouldn't think, yeah, it's just a bunch of bunch of earth, like a bunch of mud or a bunch of dirt or what, nothing like that. No, it's super opulent, opulent beyond description, opulent more than any opulence inside the cosmos, inside the universe. That's described in the Brihad Bhagavatam. When Gop Kumar was making his way through the higher and higher dimensions of the universe, finally he was breaking through the covering of the universe. And there he went through the earth element, the earth covering, the earth, fire. Hello, Taradas, earth, water, fire. Earth, air, fire, I'm
Earth,
lost.
water, fire, air, ether.
Thank you very much. From more gross to more subtle. And each of those coverings is 10 times bigger than the previous covering. So the first covering of the universe, my recollection is 4 billion miles wide, right? And there's a presiding deity of that covering, a form of the Lord, who's the presiding deity, and there's tremendous opulence there. And then the next covering is 10 times more than that, earth, water. Next one is 10 times more than that. So 4 billion, 40 billion, 400 billion, 4,000 billion, like that, each covering. So finally, the core of the universe is tiny, tiny, tiny compared to the coverings of the universe. So, yes.
They look at the atom as the same. It's just space.
Oh, okay. So they've discovered that about the atom as well, yes? The core of the atom is very, very tiny, and the coverings of the atom. So that the atom is like a microcosmic version of the universe. So Krishna is doing all these things effortlessly. It's inconceivable how powerful he is. How it's inconceivable how intelligent he is, that he's doing all of these things. He's expanding himself into innumerable forms. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. Anantarupam. Unlimited forms, right? Not like here's the 10 avatars of the Lord, right? There's not 10 avatars. There's innumerable, as numberless as the waves in a river, waves in the ocean. That many avatars. And incredibly enough, there's avatars isn't the description is there in every species of life. Yes? So now how does that make sense? We're just getting a little glimpse because we're earthlings, so we get a little bit of the Vedic information, right? Just like here, the Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses. But in the higher planets, the Bhagavatam, those type of scriptures would be much more vast because they have greater capacity. So Krishna is expanding himself into unlimited forms. Each one identical, Diparchariva Hidashantaram Abhyupetya. Each one is just like one candle lit from another candle. But Krishna is Krishna's too, Bhagavan Swayam. He's the origin. And here Prabhupada is saying that here we're going to get a description of the universal form of the Lord, which is something that the person who's accustomed to a materialistic way of thinking can meditate on. Yes? That the sun and the moon are the Lord's eyes, and etc., etc. You know, the rivers are his veins, the mountains are the stacks of his bones. In this way, one can gradually come to an appreciation of some form of the Lord, rather than being stuck on the impersonal conception of the absolute. Because trying to understand God through the impersonal aspect is very difficult. Klesho dikataras tesham avyakta sakta chedasan. It's artificial. Because the nature of the mind and the nature of the living being is to focus on personality, not to focus on impersonality. So that's a step towards understanding the personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada is here stating that this is the litmus test, one of the litmus tests for understanding who is God. If someone claims, I'm God, then you just with folded hands, you say, yes, you might be God. I'm not sure. You don't seem to be God. You don't look like God. But you can just prove to me that you're God. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna showed his universal form, the whole universe in one place. He revealed it to Arjuna. You just kindly reveal that universal form to me. And then I accept that you're God.
You're not qualified to see it.
I don't know. So in the Bhagavad Gita, what did Krishna do? He gave Arjuna the eyes to see it. Yes, he gave Arjuna. Okay, don't show me the universal form. I'm not qualified to see it. But show me something. Any little thing. You know, any create a little spaceship for me right now out of thin air. Then at least I'll accept that you're a mystic yogi. But these people can't do anything. Nothing at all. I was at the airport in Miami, and one guy was past, called him over. pen and the book. And Lewis said, no, I don't need it. I'm God. He told me, I'm God. And so this was in the time of paper tickets. I said, well, can I see your ticket, please? So, what's this guy want to see my ticket? Sure, he has it. And I looked at the ticket. I said, oh, God is traveling economy? That was my response to this fellow. And I think he got the point. One time in San Diego, my mom was walking on the cove in La Jolla, which is part of San Diego. There was a big grassy area. And this guy was sitting there, and he was sitting on a very, very opulent seat, and he was surrounded by his followers, a lot of mixed followers, a lot of women, and all of them were oogling him, looking at him with great adoration and respect and appreciation. And my mom was wondering what's going on. So she nudged him and said, what's going on here? Who is that? And the guy said, people think that he's God. My mom was, my mom was a little surprised. They think this person's God. So my mom approached, came pretty close and raised her hand. And she said, I have a question. Can I ask you a question? The guy said, sure. Ask any question you like. My mom said, can you tell me what my name is? And then the guy was stumped. He couldn't answer my mom's question. So my mom, the housewife, defeated God. Very simple. This is the so-called gods of the Kali Yuga. They're God without any of the powers of God. So people have lost their sense of discrimination. People have no sense to question, like, how can this person possibly be God? So the Shastras, they give us the ability to discriminate, the ability to understand things in the proper perspective, to understand what is the material nature, what is the soul, who is God, so that the devotee is never bewildered, never confused. But those with impure hearts, those with impure motivation, that's the main thing, isn't it? As long as there's impure motivation, no matter how intelligent a person is, they still can't understand. Despite all evidence, there can be tons of evidence in front of someone, but they still don't get it because their intention is wrong. They don't want to understand God. Just like Shishupal. Shishupal was envious of Krishna, and therefore he misconstrued everything. Yes? The evidence was there that Krishna's God. But Shishupal, he analyzed it, and he deciphered it in the opposite way, in a different way. You see what? Wasn't it the Ashwamedha Yagya, wasn't it? Ashwamedha? The Rajasuya sacrifice. Not Ashwamedha. Rajasuya sacrifice. They wanted to pick the person who should be the first one to be worshipped. But what is the question? Of course, Krishna should be the first to be worshipped. And all of the pious souls, all of the great souls, yes, naturally, Krishna should be the first. And Shishupal was outraged. What? He couldn't believe it. Why should Krishna be worshipped first in the assembly of such great persons? Bhishma Deva is here. So many great kings, so many great rishis, so many great enlightened souls. Krishna? What is that? What kind of judgment is that Krishna should be the first to be worshipped? And so, what were his arguments? He's arguing, what's the big deal about Krishna? He's so impious that he killed a woman. Who was the woman that Krishna killed?
Putana.
Putana. This is Shishupal's analysis of killing an innocent woman, Putana. And Krishna, the people are praising him. He lifted a hill. That hill was like a pebble. Govardhan Hill, Govardhan Mountain. At that time, it was a mountain because Govardhan has been shrinking one mustard seed every year,
Every day.
every day. So it used to be a huge mountain. It used to be a mountain so big that the top of Govardhan was touching the clouds. It was so massive. What's the big deal? He lifted a pebble. This was Shishupal's analysis of Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill. And he killed a duck, Bakasura. He considered Bakasura to be a duck. But Bakasura was so powerful that even the demigods were afraid of Bakasura. That was the extent of his power. But in Shishupal's mind, because of his distorted vision, he was thinking, it's the big deal, he killed a duck. So based on the condition of one's heart, one will see the world in a certain way. People see the world not as it is, but as they are. Yes? Just like if someone is a businessman and their whole meditation is how to make money, how to make money. They just look at everything like any possibility here of squeezing some money out of this. Even they see a tree, right? Someone sees a tree and they think, oh, what a beautiful tree. It's so nice, the leaves. I'm so glad this tree is here. It's giving shade, it's giving fruits. It's so pleasing. It's God's creation. Or, some beautiful aspect, like a businessman sees a tree and says, I guess I could cut it down and make some paper out of it, make some money. So based on the condition of one's consciousness, one will see the world in a certain way through the different filters, the modes of nature. Yeah? But when the filters are taken off, when the soul is pure, then the soul sees the world properly. The soul sees that every living being is part and parcel of God, regardless of what type of body. And one sees that this world is the energy of God, not meant for my enjoyment. Like that, there's no question. Nothing's meant for my enjoyment. Everything and everyone is simply meant to be engaged in Krishna's service. That's the pure vision of an enlightened soul. And they walk through life like that, with that freedom of not being harassed by the desires of the mind. Yes? Krishna says there's 3 gates leading to hell: lust, anger, and greed. Yes? So the conditioned soul is always seeing this world through that lens of, oh, there's something I can enjoy. Oh, let me accumulate more of the energy of this world. It's mine. This is mine. What's mine? Nothing's mine. Everything is just Krishna's energy. And then becoming frustrated, angry. Why? What is that anger based on? That anger is based on failing to see Krishna's hand in everything. The ordinary religious person, he's thinking something nice is happening in my life, something pleasing, I've been given something, I'm prospering. This is God's blessing, God's mercy. I see God's hand in it. Thank you, good Lord. And then if something which is displeasing happens to someone who's not enlightened, they become upset, angry. They forget to see. They don't see God's hand in it. They just see, this person is giving me some trouble. This government office is giving me some trouble. Yeah. Suddenly there's some living entity that's acting independently of God's will. Yes. God has nothing to do with the circumstances right now. That's just this guy giving me a hard time. That's not how a devotee sees things. Devotee sees the hand of Krishna in everything. When Prabhupada was on his departure, just getting ready to leave this world, what's one of the last things he said in the Bhagavatam? 10th canto, 13th chapter in the purport. One of the last things he said. Everything, Prabhupada, laying down, just barely able to speak. Everything is working, acting under the supreme direction of Krishna. This consciousness is Krishna consciousness. That's Krishna consciousness. To see that everything is moving, acting by the supreme will of Krishna. And the devotee knows this is Krishna's kindness on me, Krishna's mercy on me. Whatever's happening is orchestrated by Krishna for my betterment, to help me to develop the qualities that I need to develop, to help me learn the lessons that I need to develop, that I need to learn, to help me awaken my love for him, like that. So Krishna is orchestrating everything, giving us the opportunity to nourish, to strengthen our Krishna consciousness. So he puts us through all types of tests and circumstances. And easier said than done. I just spoke some big high, philosophy, some big idea, right? But in the heat of the moment, right, when we're confronted with a very challenging situation, that's tough. It's really tough to maintain an equal mind and to remember that Krishna's behind this also. It's very easy to forget at that moment that this is Krishna's hand. So we're practicing. We're practicing. And how do we practice? We practice by hearing from the scriptures. We hear from the scriptures, and that clears our intelligence and strengthens our intelligence, and also it strengthens our ability to respond properly to the circumstances of life. So we read something in the morning, and then we go out in the world and we're confronted with a challenging circumstance, and then the knowledge comes in the mind. Yes, the remembrance of what we read that day or the previous day or what we heard from some sadhu comes into the mind. So, okay, paradox. This is how you should see this. This is how you should respond to this. I remember when I was just joining the temple in Miami Beach, I was, that initial thrill of being saved from the material world and getting Prabhupada's mercy and Mahaprabhu's mercy, the thrill of it, everything's wonderful. So I was in the kitchen and I was washing the pots in the kitchen. And I was just so happy to finally have found the goal of life. And I was singing Hare Krishna, and I was chanting washing the pots. And then the person next to him, he was also a bhakta, and he was going through a tough period. He wasn't so happy, and he saw me just just singing and washing the pots. He got so frustrated that I was like happy. He took a pot of water. It wasn't hot water. It wasn't boiling water. He took a pot of water, threw the pot of water on me.
No.
Miami Beach.
I can't.
Pot of water on me. And I was soaking. And I was so happy, because I was, saved from the material world. And immediately the thought came to my mind, Trinadapi Siddhi Jagat. I'd heard that one day before or 2 days. And I said, no, as humble as a blade of grass, as tolerant as a tree, like that. So I just looked over and Hare Krishna, and I just continued. And one other devotee who was there looked at me and said, very good, Bhakti Talik, very good, like that. So it's, we have to not only hear the philosophy. Hearing the philosophy also purifies the soul. Hearing the philosophy awakens our higher nature, gives us the taste, gives us higher consciousness. The more we achieve higher consciousness, then the more we're able to act in a way which is pleasing to Krishna and not fail the tests. Fail the test, that's okay. So it's based on two things: clear understanding based on hearing from the sadhus and having the higher taste. And once someone has the higher taste, they're not disturbed by this world so much. They walk just like if we're on ecstasy on Sankirtan, and some guy comes by and says, get a job. The person, it's not water off the back of a duck. And what do we think? We think, Krishna, please bless that soul that he can come to you. That's it. I wish the best for that soul. That's Krishna consciousness. And other times, if we don't have higher consciousness, the mind becomes irked. The ego is, you don't know who I am? Do you realize who I am? Do you know? You're going to get a reaction for that, for offending me. So this is the path to Krishna consciousness, is to hear, chant, and do it regularly and fill ourselves constantly. And pray to Krishna. Pray to Krishna. My dear Lord, I don't want to be a conditioned soul anymore. I'm fed up with being a conditioned soul. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions or reflections?
You expound on the phenomenon. This gentleman Immanuel Kant came up with a philosophy. Phenomenon, that what we experience through our senses, and then phenomenon, the thing in itself, or that which is beyond the perception.
That's right.
As it exists in reality.
It's beyond our senses.
Yes.
In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that I will reveal to you truths both phenomenal and numinous. You remember that?
Yeah.
So numinous means that which is beyond the phenomenal world, which is the realm that we can perceive with our senses, yeah? Covering is water, air, sky, ego, noumenon, and material nature. Still, it's hard to understand in terms of material coverings, how that fits with the material coverings.
Subtle.
Subtle.
It's mind, that's the one that's missing.
Mind is, well, it also, intelligence is not mentioned here either. Ego is mentioned, material nature is mentioned, noumenon is mentioned. So mind is not mentioned and intelligence is not mentioned. Ego is mentioned.
Subtle.
So,
Mm.
okay. Okay. A little more questions or comments, then stop there. Srila Prabhupada ki
Sure.